Hi, Patrick.
Hey, Ian.
How's it going?
Good. I'm fine.
How's your weekend?
It was good. How's your Thanksgiving? It was Thanksgiving weekend.
It was wonderful. Thanksgiving weekend. Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday
Is it really?
by far. I get laughed at for that because it's a weird holiday. I don't particularly like. There's no special reason why I love Thanksgiving. It's just it's a big food day.
Mark from Chuhai just told me the same thing. He said Thanksgiving's my favorite.
Yeah, we actually talked about that. I did an episode of their podcast recently, and it was super fun.
Is it the food plus the feeling around family and friends?
Yeah,
Friendsgiving's a bigger thing now the past couple of years. More people like it's Friendsgiving more.
right. I always liked Thanksgiving as a kid because it was usually spent with my mom's side of the family, which I get along with really well. But it's the food. I think it might be where I kind of started to get my interest in food. Watching my grandma do all the cooking in the kitchen.
Because that's like a full cooking day.
It is.
You start on Wednesday.
Yeah.
It's a full day of cooking.
And usually I do that. I don't do like a full spread, but usually every year I make the past, I think 3 years, I've done a very small Thanksgiving where it's just been like Vonnie and myself, usually our friend Lincoln, because he lives down the street. And
Lincoln lives down the street?
Lincoln lives like 2.5 blocks from me.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yep.
I haven't seen Lincoln in a bit. I like Lincoln.
And usually Vonnie's brother. And I do like a ham. I do mac and cheese. I'll usually do a sausage stuffing. Usually do some green beans, maybe some broccoli, mashed potatoes.
A good green bean casserole. Oh boy.
I do.
Oh boy.
I like braise green beans in like butter and a little white wine, and then you add almonds to it, and then Parmesan cheese.
That's
so good.
We'll get into it, but that's how I ate it. Well, I'll tell you where I got mine from.
So, yeah. So this year I didn't do it though. My buddy moved up to the guy I do extra napkins with, John, moved up to Joshua Tree with his partner about a year and a half ago. And we went up there and did a desert Thanksgiving. We smoked a turducken. If you don't know what a turducken is.
A real turducken. I've never had a turducken before.
A real turducken. The thing that was popularized by John Madden.
Is he the first guy that really went into that?
I know. I don't think he was like the first person to do it, but he definitely was like one of the first people to really like talk about it on air and make it like a big deal.
You got your turkey, you got your duck. Boom! It's inside a turkey.
So,
and a duck.
John ordered a turducken stuffed with shrimp and crab jambalaya. So
what's the third thing into turducken? Turkey, duck?
It's turkey, duck, and chicken.
Oh, it's chicken. That's right.
It's a chicken.
What order is it?
And they're usually deboned. It's a chicken in the center.
Chicken in the center.
Duck around that. Turkey around that.
And what's the appeal? We do it just because we can.
Right.
We can.
Yes.
It's like going to the moon.
It's basically it.
It's going to the moon for food.
So after he got it, John got nervous because everyone he told was like, "Oh, I got a turducken once, and I'm never doing a turducken again."
Is it just too much work and cooking?
Too much work, and also because it's 3 birds, but they're 3 birds that cook up in different ways at different times.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So, but most people do them in the oven. So John smoked it, did it low and slow, and everything came out pretty damn good. The turkey was not super dry. The duck was very good. The chicken was insane, though. You got to think about it. You've got a turkey over a duck. Duck is real fatty. So you've got all this duck fat going down into the chicken, but then you've got this shrimp and crab jambalaya steaming in the center, sending all that flavor up into the chicken.
Now you hooked me. There's a shrimp jambalaya inside?
Yeah. Yeah.
Shit.
The chicken was like exquisitely good. Like it was the part that I think everyone was like, no one wants the chicken. It's just chicken. But it's so good.
You got a duck and turkey hugging it all day.
Yeah.
You know? It's like, hey, we're going to give you some of our juices and goodness. Well, that doesn't sound good.
So, John did that. He also did like mashed potatoes, mac and cheese.
Intermittent fasting. Come on, buddy.
Sorry.
Okay.
My back has been real bad. I couldn't really do much of anything, but I was tasked with making the stuffing. I made an alligator and pork sausage stuffing.
What the fuck, Ian? Where'd you get alligator from?
Same place you got the turducken from.
They have alligator meat?
Alligator pork sausages.
How's the alligator meat?
Fucking insane. I need to look up. It's like a popular brand of these sausages. I can't remember the name. Some of the best shit I've ever had in my life.
Alligator sausage. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, while we were up there, we did some thrifting, which I think is where you would maybe find interest up in that area.
Okay.
Depends though. Now that you don't thrift for video games, is there anything that you ever like look for?
Well, I look for video games still. You don't find it. Toys, any vintage stuff that's cool. Absolutely, Ian.
Went to
I'm not a one-trick retro pony here.
went to one of the flea markets up there, the one that John goes to like every other week. It's an outdoor flea market, and it's free. And I forget that there's such a thing as like free flea markets, because like Kobe's always charges you $1 to get in. Lots of $2 now.
$2.
Wow. But yeah, we just walked in Lincoln, who's normally pretty calm, laid back, very monotone kind of in his voice, was like vocally excited about the fact that it was a free flea market. He's like, I don't have to pay to get in. No.
You know, it's the principle of it, because when you go to a flea market, there's no guarantee you're going to walk away with anything. You might waste 2 hours of your life, right? So paying it is like just a little extra. There was no paid flea markets in Jersey, but anyway, go on.
No, we didn't pay to get into them in Buffalo either. But
you paid an E. coli rummaging through things.
I bought a small pink water pipe.
Oh,
as they call them. And the flea market itself, I didn't get anything particularly interesting, but I did see video games out there, which was interesting because I wouldn't expect that to be a huge video game area. The games themselves were not priced, so I didn't ask because there was nothing I was looking for.
Oh.
Which makes me think that
you should have asked.
Yeah,
two for $5, like the good old days.
Right.
No, come on, Ian.
But everything else there was like really reasonably priced. Lincoln got like a really cool 1974 engine manual with like schematics and diagrams
the ones that
for
used
like
the ones
all sorts of different.
You used to see them in the mechanic stores. Yeah, you would have seen like they were in ring binders sometimes. Or
this one was actually bound, but yeah, that sort of thing. Just like tons and tons of diagrams and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's fun
when
to
you
look
actually
at.
could work on a car back then. Yeah.
And Mandy, who is actually kind of my boss at my new job, was there with us, and she found an old esthetician's manicure workbook that was filled out by someone in like 1988, but it was like this thick workbook on like how to do manicures and stuff with all the latest technology.
See, that's what I mean. You always find cool stuff.
You find neat stuff, and that's what I like. I didn't find anything until we got to a couple thrift stores later, but this was my favorite thing. They had vintage postcards there, and the vintage postcards were $1 a pop. And most of the time,
that seems pretty reasonable.
It is really
my
reasonable.
dad used to collect postcards, old ones of like old historical places that we knew about, like in Jersey or Pennsylvania.
I love old postcards. I like sending postcards, and I figured, shit, if I can find some neat like postcards for $1, maybe I'll send them out. The problem is a lot of times when you find vintage postcards, they're spent, they're written on, or they have like a postmark.
It's hard to find them new. Yeah.
80% of these had no writing on them.
I remember going to like some of those like weird little shop, like peddler's village type of places. You know what I mean? Where there's like little, like they're like little mini houses that line streets, but they're all like run businesses. You would find postcards in those, like postcard. There were like postcard shops or parts of shops. I'm guessing those people are aging and dying out. Those collectors. I'm guessing. I picture that being people that were born like the first half of the 20th century. That were in, because you used to do postcards and used to send them. That's not a thing anymore, unfortunately.
Right. So I do. I like using them. I
actually like send postcards?
I have a fountain pen, and my handwriting is awful, but I have a fountain pen.
You'll go on vacation.
A fancy pen, and I love to write postcards and just send them off to people.
While you're on vacation, though? Or like...
Oh, just when I get like a random thought in my head.
The art of it was be like, while you're on vacation, hey, I'm in, I don't know, Tulsa. Here's a Oklahoma postcard.
No, these days if I get a weird thought or something and it reminds me of someone, I'll jot it down on a postcard and just kind of send it off.
This postcard post was always cheaper than a letter. It was always like whatever, like half the price, whatever.
And I that's the thing. You can still buy postcard stamps, and I have a sheet of them. They're like 23 cents instead of whatever.
There used to be like 5.
Right.
Back in the day when it was like 20 cents to mail something. So
looking through them, I found a lot of cool ones, a lot of ones that weren't written on. Whoever was in charge of them, it was this thrift store in particular was like an antique mall type one where, you know, different shelves had different vendor numbers on them, and like the person at the counter would keep track of it. So they're selling someone else's stuff on consignment, basically. So they were in plastic sleeves, and I found like 12. But what I found is, are you familiar with Expo 67? Do you know what Expo 67 was?
It was a World's Fair, wasn't it?
It was the World's Fair in Montreal, 1967.
Is that where the Expos come from?
That's where the Expos come from.
Is that why they built that huge ass fucking stadium? Or they built that for the Olympics?
That was for the Olympics. Yeah, that
oversized.
Yeah,
non-baseball.
That dome came after the Olympics, which were 76 in Montreal, I believe. Expo 67 it's just something I'm fascinated with from a visual standpoint, because if you've ever looked up Expo 67, it's like that perfect fucking mid-century vision of the future.
Flying cars or rail cars and like the
Lots of rail
the
and
kitchen,
like
the weird
and like
high-tech
shiny
kitchens.
buildings. Like you'll see if you look up, if you just do a Google image search, you'll see exactly what I'm saying.
67.
So I've always been fascinated with it, and I found 2 of those postcards from then, like original ones, unused in there. And I mean, a small thing. I got them for $1. They're maybe worth like $3 or $4 a piece. But
Sure.
it's just, I forget how much fun it can be. The thrill of the hunt when you're looking at it in a thrift store and you find something that genuinely speaks to you, not something you're buying just because you're like, well, I'm here, I might as well buy something.
Sure.
But something that literally like jumps at you and you're like, shit, this is actually really, really cool.
It's historical.
Yeah.
It's kitschy.
So
It's a photograph. It's art.
Yeah.
No, I respect the postcard collecting game.
it was a lot of fun. So yeah, that
Do
was,
they still have World's
what I did.
Fairs, by the way? Do they still have
they
them?
do. I looked them up. I can't.
Like,
so
what's
there's
the point
different. There's different classifications of world fairs.
Like, were there rides at World's Fair? Or just like the exhibits, like you showed off like the new like cars and like vacuum cleaners and tech
Yeah.
and-
So the last one was Expo 2020, which was Dubai.
So are they like a licensed World's Fair, or it's almost like you just
There's a governing body.
okay, it's like Comic Con, where it's like you can do comic conventions, but like they're not like the official
Oh,
Comic Con one.
So it was probably like 3 months ago. I was looking into this because something else, Expo 67, came up and it got me down that rabbit hole again. And no, there's like a whole body. There's like categories of fairs based on the sizes and like certain things that they're allowed to have.
they take this seriously.
There is a World Fair body, an
The first
expo
one
body.
was 1851, the Great Exhibition in the UK in London. The theme was industry of all nations. There's always a theme. I know that. There's always a theme.
Yes.
A lot of half of it's going to be industry, obviously. Let's see. They skip years, Ian.
Oh, I know. They definitely do. They're not every year, but I'm just saying
They used to
exist.
be every year, just about.
They're every few years now, and then it's getting increasingly further apart
Kazakhstan had one.
with smaller expos happening.
United Arab Emirates had one. 2023, Argentina. You know what, Ian? Let's go to Japan in 2025.
That's what
Fuck it.
It was supposed to be 2021, but I think it got pushed back because of all the COVID stuff.
Screw it. There was a chance last year that I wanted to go to Japan last year. If we had the Olympics last year, I might have said, "Screw it, I got to see Olympics before I die." No, I'm gonna go to Japan in 2025. Let's book it.
Do the expo.
Let's do the. It's gonna be designing future society for our lives, but it's in the future, so now it's a whole thing. So I'm glad you had fun.
Yeah.
So what was my Thanksgiving? You asking? Unless
Yeah.
you have more to say.
No, I'm good.
I had the chance to go to Anaheim to my friend Tommy, good friend Tommy, who I not that Tommy, not the reason one of the reasons I have disdain now for Tommy Tallarico. When I think of my good friend Tommy, in the back of my head is like, you now should have named with this person. Anyway, so he's in Anaheim. He's from Louisiana. He's a great cook. I went to Thanksgiving before at his place. The problem is to go to Anaheim. Like it's a fucking trek with traffic on Thanksgiving. The one time I turned around, I didn't even hit Oceanside, Ian, and it was like 2 hours in my car, and I turned around. I said, "This is ridiculous." It would have been a 3.5 hour drive to go to Anaheim when it usually is like an hour 20. So I'm like, I can't do that. I can't be in a car several hours on it. I can't do that. And I really wanted to go. If it was like an hour and a half, I would have went, or even 2 hours. But no. So this is what I did. Went to the local supermarket, and they had almost all the pre-made sides you could ever want. And they were good. They had pre-made stuffing. They put them in like the macaroni salad fucking containers.
What supermarket?
I don't want to say Ian, which one. For identity, it's close one. Close one.
Okay, no one's gonna hunt you down based
okay.
on your supermarket.
But it's the fancy one nearby. So stuffing I got. I got green bean casserole, and they had little walnuts in it. It was good.
Walnuts. That's A game. That's A game.
Some of the best cranberries I've ever had because they were chunky. Cranberry sauce is awful. The ones in the can's awful.
I love
cranberries is good. This one Ian had. I could tell they put a little bit of brown sugar, like a little bit. They had put like orange.
A
kiss. They put orange in it, which sort of like it like dissipates the tartness a little bit. They were so good. And I bought, like, you had to buy like a pound of each of these things. A pound of stuffing was like $12, but I don't care. I looked at the stuffing box, like, I ain't doing all this work. I'm not cutting up the vegetables. I'll buy it pre-made.
Yeah.
So I got that. I got cornbread from Sprouts, a big ass one, though I can give you some. I bought a $12 a pumpkin pie manager special, which sucks because at Sprouts they're usually like only like $5 for a small one. I got a giant one, Ian. I can give you like half it if you want. And I had my own little personal thing. I bought it was just a turkey breast, one full white breast, and no buns, no bones though. So it's like that's like 3 servings of food. That's
you slice that down. That's good.
That was, and then I bought mac and cheese also at Sprouts, pre-made hash chili mac and cheese, which it was decent. It was pretty good. So like I had a big fucking plate. I fasted the whole day. That was not the way to go because my stomach shrank, and boy did I pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
You got to prime the pump out there on a big meal like Christmas Eve dinner coming up soon. I usually eat something little before. I'll have like a fruit
Gotta prime the
salad.
pump on a nasty dunk.
What? What was that?
Can't fake. So you got to prime the pump on a nasty dunk.
Okay. The point is this though. I paid for it with like, it was a full plate, Ian. Plus I made myself a salad, and I just watched no basketball on. What was on? Just whatever football. I was like, this is fine.
The Bills fucking slaughtered the Saints.
You happy about your Bills being good, Ian?
I mean, they're all right.
Good.
That was a good game.
So no, I enjoyed Thanksgiving. It's not my favorite holiday. My favorite holiday is still weirdly, I love Halloween. I love the feeling. I love giving out candy to kids. I love the feeling of it. I just love the feeling of you're out fall. You're out of the summer. You're in fall now.
Yeah.
It's my favorite. And then Christmas. The Christmas season still gets me. Like the giving. I love giving gifts, and I love the food. I like the feeling that hey, the world is nice right now. I just like that fucking feeling for like a week.
Sure.
I like that feeling. And then you get depressed the day after Christmas. But then you got leftovers. And then I hate New Year's though. New Year's is my least favorite holiday. So it's weird. It goes from like Christmas. I like Christmas. I hate New Year's. I hate the reminder of life is short. We're a year away from a year closer to death. Here you go. I just don't like it. I don't like how I wish Christmas was where it should be, like in the spring. Like I wish it was like. Then you miss. Then you don't get like the snow though. But
Yeah.
like Thanksgiving can survive on its own. Like Thanksgiving can anchor that end of the year holiday.
Yes.
Like imagine if Thanksgiving was where Christmas was now.
Yeah.
And then you move Christmas to like March. Imagine that dynamic.
Yeah. I'm imagining it. I don't know what I think of it, but I'm imagining it.
Spring Christmas.
I'm happy with it where it's at.
That's when the guy was supposedly born. It's like the springtime.
Yeah.
So historically, all right, we done with the a recap.
Away
A recap of Thanksgiving?
to the podcast.
Or if you just listen to the podcast, go back to it. No.